What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. Please note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. By the time you're watching this video, this offer ends in about 6 days. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening right now. Let me just note, guys, that right now I'm having a family emergency, so I'm going to be unavailable for the weekend to record any videos. So I'm recording this video Friday night, and I just want to say that I will not be able to account for any pieces of news that come out. And there's not really anything I can do about that. Sometimes life strikes and, things like this happen. One of my uncles is ill, so I'm going to have to be visiting him at least. It's going to take me the entire weekend to, get to him. It's a long drive, and then I'm going to have to spend a lot of time being very busy. So I just want to say that I'm going to be unavailable and I will not be able to account for every piece of news that comes out. So this video might not be entirely sufficient. And I do apologize for that. By Monday, I will be uploading videos back to normal. There won't be any issues after that. But just know that because this video might not be entirely sufficient, I will try my best to be very unbiased about different levels, and then simultaneously I will talk about what the charts do suggest is the most likely possibility, nonetheless. So this is going to mainly be just about technical analysis and like less about the news. So let's talk about what's going on so far. Tesla's doing a good job at holding up above its 20 EMA. There will be some things worth noting about the market, how it's going to be trading for the upcoming week. For Monday, it's going to be November 25th, 2024. At 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. That's going to be more important. At 11:30 a.m., we have the 3- and 6-month bill auctions to watch and see what that leads to. And besides that, guys, there's not really much else coming out for Monday. Tuesday was when we have more data, like some more manufacturing numbers at 10 a.m., some services data at 10:30. Then we have the FOMC minutes at 2 p.m., so that's going to be more significant. And then Wednesday, we have a bunch of data coming out, GDP numbers, initial jobless claims, and the list goes on. They're basically unloading as much data as they can, pretty much everything for the week on Wednesday, because the market's not going to be trading for the full days on Thursday and Friday. So just to be very, very clear, we're just going to take this one day at a time. Starting off with Monday, we just have very minor pieces of data at 10:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. So just worry about that for now. Now, for the week, just know this, okay? The stock market is going to be open on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But then on Thursday, it's going to be Thanksgiving. So the stock market is going to be closed entirely. That's why we don't have any data or earnings coming out. For Friday, however, it's going to be Black Friday. And the stock market's going to be open for only half a day. It closes at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just remember that, guys. Only 3 full days of trading for the first 3 days, and then the market's going to get very quiet on Thursday and Friday. No trading on Thursday, and then half a day on Friday. Don't forget that. Mark your calendars if you have to. For the earnings calendar, this is what it's going to be looking like. For Monday, we have Bath and Body Works, and then for aftermarket close on Monday, we have Zoom. Tuesdays when we're going to be having Kohl's, Best Buy, Macy's, Burlington, Dell, and the list goes on. So look for a lot of volatility on Tuesday for retail. Wednesdays when we have a couple of things coming out, very minor data, and then there's just nothing on Thursday for Thanksgiving. And Friday is going to be very minor as well. So keep that in mind, guys. Very short trading week. Tuesday is going to be the main day for volatility because of earnings, and besides that, there's not really much coming out. So what are we looking out for on the charts? Let's talk about some key levels, and I'll break down what the chart suggests for Tesla. So for Tesla, we're doing a very, very good job at holding above 350. If we were to lose 350, just hypothetically, I'm looking at this previous resistance becoming support at 346. If that were to fail us, we're looking for 341, very close to our 20 EMA. So make sure you watch those levels very closely. If we're bullish, you want to see Tesla hold above this 350 area. As long as we're above this, we do favor a push attempt to get back up towards that 362.5 area. So I'll be watching that very, very closely. On the daily time frame, Tesla's also looking more bullish. If you guys look at how well this is holding up, it's doing a great job at being above this 350 area. And we have this very, very nice accumulation. Looking at other factors such as the weekly time frame, we have a more bullish weekly candlestick as there's a lot of momentum remaining. Volume is slowing down, so it's not the best of signs for Tesla, but nonetheless, we're doing a good job. I would say this, okay? Watch your levels very, very closely. If 346 fails us, we're looking for 341 as our target. And if that fails us, we're going to be dipping to these lows down here in the mid 330s. As long as we're above 350, we're looking for 362.5 as our potential target. I think that this resembles an inverse head and shoulders. So as long as there's no bad news, Tesla favors that's going to chop around a bit in the 350 area and start pushing for that 362.5 target as the most likely possibility. Looking at the 4 hour, the PPO is about to get a crossover. Our EMAs are now slanted upwards. The volume came back a little bit more on Friday. It's still not that strong, so hopefully it does improve. And the overall setup has a nice accumulation with a nice potential for upside. So it looks more bullish to me from a technical standpoint. For SPY, we look more bullish because we're continuing to get bought back up. We look at the 4 hour, we had these wicks that were forming here. So we're making higher highs and higher lows. Every time we dumped, we got bought back up. We dumped, got bought back up over and over and over again. This chart is favoring the upwards direction. If SPY hypothetically loses 596, we're looking for essentially 594 right over here to 593.8. If that fails, let's look for 592.38 and then 590.5. I want to see this lose 590.5 to turn more bearish if there is some kind of bad piece of news. As long as the news remains as is, we're going to likely continue to push for this 598 target. And if that breaks, our next target is going to be up towards like 599.25 and 600. So I think that 598 to 600 could be coming, but I do want to call out the possibility of a rising wedge that is developing on SPY. We'll have to see if this pans out or not. They're not always guaranteed to play out. But for now, there's no sign of a rejection, and the chart remains bullish at the time I'm recording this. So the most likely possibilities we do continue this push for 598 to 600. I think 598 is the main target. I think we could be pushing up towards that. So keep that in mind. There's an imbalance that's pushing us up. We're building momentum, and we're once again slanting upwards in terms of our direction. Every time we dip, we got bought back up, so this favors upside. For the QQQ, it's the same thing essentially. The QQQ is looking bullish on the 4 hour time frame getting bought back up. As long as we don't lose 503 and 501, we favor upside. If we lose 503, look for 501 and then 497 if that fails us. As long as we're above those levels, especially 503, this is favoring the gap fill above. Notice that we dipped, got bought back up, dipped, bought back up, dipped, bought back up, and we're just continuing to do that. And we're actually making higher highs and higher lows. And then when you look at the daily time frame, as long as we're above 506, we have this gap that'll take us all the way up towards like 508. So I think the QQQ looks more bullish nonetheless. So on the 4 hour time frame, we look more bullish. I think the chart is favoring us pushing for 508.75 or even higher levels. I think we look more bullish on the triple Q. So in my opinion, I think the QQQ is bullish. I think there's a good chance we continue to push as long as we don't lose 503, as long as there's no bad news. And as of right now, we look quite good. Once again, I'm not accounting for all the news. I am sorry about that. There's nothing I can really do about that just for this one video. This rarely happens. I'm almost always available with the most up-to-date videos. Just sometimes I have family emergencies and there's nothing I can do about that. But it is what it is. We just have to continue with the resources we have. So we look bullish, technically speaking. I do think this might attempt to push a little higher. For other factors out there, we have ES. ES looks more bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows. As long as you don't lose 59.80 and 59.50, it's favoring upside. I think the chart wants to go for the psychological 6,000. If that breaks, we're looking for 6,020. This is forming a very, very nice cup, and I think the direction remains more bullish on the daily and the 4 hour time frames. So watch the supports I called out just to be safe in case there's bad news. But for now, the chart does favor it. It wants to break past 6,000 and get to 6,020. On NQ, we look more bullish. We have 20,900 as our resistance. If that breaks, we have 21,000 as our target. If we lose 20,788 around that area as our support, if we lose that, we start dipping down towards the low at 20,700. Looking at this nice accumulation, the fact that we're continuing to get bought back up, NQ is looking more bullish. It looks like it wants to break past 20,900. If we get that confirmation for Monday, we're going to be looking for 21,000 as our potential target, as we're doing a very, very good job at holding up. Excuse me. For other factors out there, we have Nvda. Nvda has this nice wick that formed right here. It is looking a little bit weaker, at least on the 4 hour. This looks like a double top rejection. It looks kind of symmetrical. This could be favoring a move down to 138 to 140. We'll see if we bounce off that or not. So look for a little bit more downside and see what kind of reaction we get off that 140 area. For Bitcoin, we look more bullish as we're making higher highs and higher lows. We're very close to the 100,000 psychological area, so we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get off 100,000. If we get a rejection, we're going to be looking for 98,000. If it doesn't hold, look for 97,250, followed by 96,665. Those are going to be your three main supports. Bitcoin is more bullish and has more upside potential to break 100,000 in the future. But for the time being, there might be some tough resistance there. So we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. So I think later on, yes, Bitcoin will break 100,000. But for the short term, it might be a tough resistance. And we could see it slow down once we get to that. For others, we have Apple. Apple's looking more bullish. We have to see as long as Apple holds these supports. So make sure you're watching 228.5 is the first support. 227.5 below that, and then 226.58. If we lose any of those supports, we have one after the other to be coming. With this nice accumulation, a nice 4-hour break, we're looking for 230's resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for essentially 232. So I think there's a good chance we continue to push, and we could be pushing higher. So watch and see how we break 230. Overall, we're doing a good job at holding up. For other stocks, we have Netflix. Netflix has tough resistance at 900. I think we might consolidate in this range. There's even a chance we actually dip a little bit, forming a double top here to retest 888 before it tries to bounce again. But I think that we just consolidate in this 900 area, maybe dip a little bit before it tries to bounce. So just keep that in mind. For MSTR, watch 420, very psychological number. If we hold this, we could attempt for this 450 target again. If not, there's a possibility this is a high. We're coming down, making a lower high, and this could reject. But watch 420 is the main confirmation. If 420 does not hold, I think it dips all the way down towards 400 again, if not the 370 area. So just keep that in mind. There is that risk of downside. So we'll see how things end up going. For CELH or Celsius, this does look a little bit more bullish. It looks like it wants to be approaching this 30 resistance. As long as you don't lose 29 in favor of 30 very, very soon. For Supermicro, we look more bullish as we're getting bought back up. We do have this main support at 31. As long as we don't lose this, this does favor 35 and eventually 37. So 35 to 37 are most likely coming as long as you don't lose 31. So I think there's a good chance this continues to pump. Palantir had a head and shoulders like structure, but I did tell you guys, watch and see if we lose 60 for confirmation because we haven't really lost that yet. And sometimes they trap investors with these kind of patterns. So far, we're not really seeing this playing out. We need to lose 60 to turn more bearish. 59.31 to 60 needs to break, and then we will start dumping all the way down towards the 56 area. And overall, I think we're doing a good job at holding up. So as long as we're above this support at 63, I think we're favoring a move back up for 66. I think there's a good chance we push for this imbalance. I think that 66 is most likely coming. With this dice accumulation structure, we could attempt to push for 66, so just keep that in mind. For Rivian, if Rivian breaks past 10.36, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 10.5. If we lose support here at 10 flat, we're looking for essentially 9.7. I think the chart's going to be testing 9.35 before we get a big reaction, so just keep that in mind. SoFi looks more bullish. As long as you don't lose 15 flat, we're looking for an attempt to get to 16. Watch 15 and 14.8 as supports. I think we could dip a bit and then start pushing higher for that 16 target. It still looks very bullish to me. The IWM Russell 2000 is an inverse head and shoulders breakout. As long as we hold above 238, we favor 240 and then 242. I think it looks more bullish, and I think 240 plus is most likely coming. AMD looks a little bit more bullish. We'll have to see if we could hold above 138. If we hold above 138.3, we're going back up for 140. If 138 rejects, though, we could be dipping for 136. So I think there's a good chance we form an accumulation, start pushing for 140. For ARM needs to break past 136. If that breaks, we're looking for essentially 138. But if we reject here, we're looking for essentially 133.65. With this nice accumulation, we're looking for essentially the 138 area. So give this some time to develop. For coin, we're just range bounded here. We have 307 as our resistance and 290 as our main support. If 307 breaks, we're looking for essentially this 320 area. For Amazon, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs and lower lows over and over again. If we can't hold above 200, this is favoring a move back down for 194. So I think we're continuing to reject, and we could be on our way back down to those levels. For Meta, we're making lower highs right here, continuing to reject. We need to try to break past 562, otherwise this may continue to downtrend. So look for a test of 560 or so. If we don't hold above it, we could pop in and start dipping closer to where this wick is, towards the 555 area or below. For Microsoft, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We're making lower highs right over here over and over again. We have 418 as resistance, not to mention 420. I think that because we're making lower highs, this does favor 418 or so. And then we'll see if we get a rejection between 418 and 420. We might pop here and start dipping back down to 414. So keep that in mind. Google's also on a bit of a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. It might try to push for 170, 168 or so. Not 170, it's 168 where this imbalance is before it rejects and dips lower. But it is bearish. It's making lower highs and lower lows. It's been rejecting really hard. So I think it rebounds a bit for 168. Then we'll see if we get a rejection. If that's the case, we dip even lower. One last thing I'm going to talk about is the VIX. The VIX is looking more bearish, which tends to be a sign that the market's going to pump more. The VIX has a gap to fill down here around 14.27, which makes me think the market's going to pump even higher. And we might see Tesla follow that trend. So Tesla looks bullish, guys. We're starting to break out. Let's see if we try to fill this imbalance early next week and try to make our way up to about the 362.5 area, if not higher. If that breaks, we could get closer to 370. So just keep that in mind. 368 to 370, just to be more precise. So with that being said, Tesla looks more bullish. The market's doing a great job at holding up so far. The bulls have a bigger edge. I thank you all so much for listening. So please have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And my videos will be up to date and back to normal starting on Monday. Before the market opens, I'll give you guys more updates. So I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great rest of your day and peace out.